Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being the show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the beginning after the end, Season 1, Episode 2. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we have that opening back with, and we finally learned what Arthur's name was in his previous life. It was Gray. And there's a guy who tried to kill Gray and assassinate him, and now that guy is put him on trial. In fact, he's going to be sent back to his country to be put on trial, but it meant death, and it seems like if he goes back, his family will be sent with him, and they'll be put to death as well. But it seems like it's going to be much worse than death. It seems like they'll probably really put him through it as punishment, and so he's begging Gray not to, it's like, let me take the onus of it. I'm the one that went after you. My family had nothing to do with it. Don't punish them. Show mercy on them. And Gray ends up killing them, and the guy, like the would-be assassin, just kind of like has this like sullen look on his face, and he bows down and thanks him. And it's like the people that are there being like, "Oh my God, he killed him with his own blade." Oh, King Gray showed such mercy, and that's the thing of I'm unclear at the time. Was that some form of mercy? Was Arthur being like, Gray, was there no other way around this? They were always going to be punished one way or another, and this way it's swift and quickly, whereas if we got sent back to your country, it would have been a lot more brutal. That is like, maybe there could have been a way around that, but like this was Gray's only way to kind of assert his authority without, like, because if he let them live, it probably would have been seen as weakness. So that might not even been a viable option either way. There's too many eyes amongst like, I don't know if those are like living beings or whether those were like maybe AI robots or whatever, like those people who kind of stood as almost like a council of sorts, like behind him in a row. I don't know what those were. Those might not have been human, but either way, I just don't know if Gray really thought about mercy and why he did what he did. I was like, I don't think he intentionally did that out of cruelty, but it's unclear because he does say something at the end after he did it, after the guy thanked him, but we don't get to hear what he said. So I don't know if that guy's really thankful to Gray or whether he's just kind of like, whether he's just saying that, but because I feel like he would have lashed out more if he didn't believe it. It's heartbreaking, but I think for him, it's like, this is the better outcome for my wife and child. Probably still wish things could have ended differently. And like I said, maybe it could have, but I don't know. Either way, we come back to present day with Arthur training with Ray, and obviously Ray impressed with all that Arthur is able to do. It's like his augmentation has taken him even further, and to the point it's like my sword was augmented and he ended up destroying it. Because really, Ray wanted him to use gauntlets like him. It's like, oh, follow my steps, but it makes sense. When he was Gray, he was more associated with a sword, so that comes a little bit more natural to him because he spent so much time honing his sword skill, so why not carry that over into this new life? I mean, you give yourself a massive advantage, they kind of make up for like all this knowledge you have in your head, and you have the battle experience, but you don't have the body to reflect that battle experience. So it's that thing of kind of like your mind is moving faster than obviously it does, but it's like your mind and your thoughts are like, oh, I'm going to do this and I should do that. And I have all this experience and skill, but your body isn't up to par to match what's in your brain essentially. And so now it turns into but anyway, circle back. Ray wants him to use gauntlets, but Arthur's like, no. Like, in his head, it's like, well, if I did that, that means certain death, especially at such a young age. Because it's like, at least a sword gives you some mid-range distance, whereas a gauntlet, you have to get all up and personal. So, but yeah, now it turns into an argument because Ray wants to send... and for Arthur to have a proper teacher, but his mom, Alice, is like, no, why should we do that? I get that he's powerful, he's talented and all that, but why do we have to send our cute little baby away? And Ray's like, I get it. He's like my cutest son ever, but it's just like, I don't know what to do about it. And then it's actually Arthur who suggests, well, why don't we all go together? And they're so happy. They're like, oh, great idea. Our son's a genius. It's like, yeah. I was about to say it would be kind of sad sending him off at such a young age, but it's like, no, let's all go together. And now we're ended up meeting up with we met them last episode, but we get a proper introduction to, I forgot what they're called now. They say their name once in the episode, but it's the party that Alice and Ray used to belong to. As I figured as much. Like once they like settled down, it was kind of like can't go out as much. I mean, once again, Ray still does from time to time to help out, and like I said, that might be some income for the house is why he does what he does. But these are the former traveling compatriots, and we get proper introductions to everyone. Obviously, you have Jasmine being like kind of the silent stoic type. She seems the type that just like reads the situation and kind of like keeps to herself. But yeah, they make their way on their journey to where they need to go, getting attacked by wolves. But luckily, the whole squad's there is able to hold off the wolves easily. And I kept wondering this whole situation with Alice when she was like seeing me like she was sick. I was like, oh, is she actually sick? I was like, is it a backlash from her powers or something? Like, I was like wondering if that's what it was. Never would have, jumping ahead, I would have never expected it to be a pregnancy thing. I was like, oh, interesting. I was like, okay, because I was scared. I was like, is his mom sick? Like, is he gonna have to be able to heal her or something? Like, because that's immediately where my mind went. I never would have thought in retrospect. It's like, oh yeah, those are the telltale signs of, because she did kind of. Like, she's like, oh, I'm full. But it's like, well, it's interesting because I guess early enough stages in the pregnancy, you're probably not going to want to eat a lot. Whereas later parts of the pregnancy, you're going to want to eat a lot. But also like her kind of getting a little woozy and sick. But we also learned a little bit more about her situation. As I kind of figured from episode 1, she is a special case. Her type of magic is known as emitters. And they made sure, like, okay, before she heals Ray, it's like, whoa, wait, Alice. So they're keeping an eye out because they don't want people to know what her power is because it's so rare and it's a situation of people could easily, there are emitters like her could easily be targeted. I don't know if it's like we're going to sell you off because of how special you are type of thing. Like what they would get out of knowing that she's an emitter because they're just so rare. So, interesting. We don't even know the full capabilities of what the emitter can do besides just like healing. But it was the thing I was thinking as well, that because his dad's an augmenter and his mom, as we now know, is an emitter, what does that mean for Arthur? Who, does that mean he's inherited both things? And it does seem like that's the case because later on when he's going up against, what's his name, Adam, the kind of lance/spear dude, when him and Arthur are training, and Arthur like enhances his sword, but he also has like this green aura around his feet. So it's like he's using both the augmenter ability on his sword while also simultaneously using the emitter to kind of make himself move faster. So it's interesting because I guess maybe the augmentation only works on one thing at a time. So if you're going to make yourself stronger, you can't make yourself faster at the same time. So, but maybe because he's using the duality of an emitter and an augmenter, he was able to kind of overcompensate for that. And it's like, oh, I'm only channeling the augmenter to my blade, but I have to channel the emitter to my feet. Which catches Jasmine's attention because she's like, how'd you do that? And he's just kind of explaining it. And obviously he's training with everyone else. Also, Adam kind of gets chewed out for like, yo, like, do you not know how to not hold back? He's like, yo, but that little guy's a little monster. Like, I didn't have much choice. Because obviously he held his own for a bit, but obviously the body's too light to really like compensate for fighting a full-grown adult. So... But obviously the training went off without a hitch. Luckily, everyone was there to keep things safe. But yeah, he little by little, he's training with the others. He even trains with and teaches Jasmine what he knows, and she also taught him. So it's kind of like a whole... He even says like this whole thing has kind of been an extreme learning process for him in a lot of ways. Not only because he's learning a lot, but also the fact is he's teaching someone. Like he's never been in that situation either. So it's been an interesting experience all around. But then sadly on their journey, they eventually, even though most of the journey was smooth, they finally run into a band of bandits, which our crew is stronger, but the problem is they have more numbers and our crew is surrounded. Ray is injured and kind of backed into a corner, but he tells Arthur, it's like, you need to leave because your mom's got you a sibling inside. You're going to be a big brother. So Arthur in that moment grabs his mom, and for him, it's like back when he was gray, he never fully understood, and he even talks about the irony behind it. He's like, a man, who has stolen so many souls, am now running so not to have one stolen from me. So he's doing everything he can, keeping his promise to his dad, but also to himself, to wanting to protect his mom and his unborn sibling. And as they're escaping and the others are covering for them, there was a bandit who conjures a wind spell and blows Arthur off the cliff. But Arthur uses the weapon he got from Jasmine, which is kind of like a string attached to a dagger, and he ends up throwing it and wrapping it around this person to drag them off the cliff too. Some of the others tried to use their magic to grab Arthur, but they couldn't reach him. And as Arthur's falling, he's thinking and looking at his mom's face, and he's thinking about when they protected him last episode. And it's just the whole thing of, obviously, they cry when they want to do everything they can to protect you, but he's also like, family also cries when they're not able to see you. And for him, it's like, now he finally understands that guy from the beginning of the episode, that desperate plea to like protect your family, because he's never known someone to go above and beyond to protect him. Kind of had to always look out for himself, because it's in everyone else's best interest to make sure he's okay, but it was still on him to always stay on top. It was a dog-eat-dog world, but he also had never really felt the need to protect anyone, and now he's in this position. He's kind of like, right, I am a little sad that I was kind of looking forward to being a big brother. And the episode ends, but the post-credit ends with him in the forest, and then that creature at the end of the first episode, which we see in the intro and outro, that thing showed, well, I think it's an outro too, but definitely in the intro, that giant thing that's kind of got like this like metal mask face approaches Arthur and calls him by his name. So I was like, oh, is this thing not the main antagonist that I thought it was? Could this thing actually be like a patriot, like a thing that Arthur can call on in the future, if that's not a dream? Because maybe the others were able to get to him in time, and he's actually dreaming, because maybe he's connected to thing. Maybe that thing is good, maybe that thing is bad, and maybe it's up to Arthur to determine, and then maybe that's kind of the thing of considering what his soul was as Gray versus this second chance at life he has as Arthur, kind of that duality that exists within him, the potentiality to be good in this world. Maybe that will determine where that thing goes. If it isn't already out bad, because it has a design where you're like, oh, that seems evil, but that's evil propaganda on my part, just assuming just because of the way it looks at it, it's evil, but maybe it's good. Or maybe, like I said, maybe it's kind of neutral, and it could go either way depending on Arthur, if it has that type of like symbiotic relationship with him where it's like, oh, we're connected and we could be partners, I could draw upon your power in the future. If that's what it is, I have no idea. This is me throwing out speculation. You know what I'm going to say. You know it, because I won't shut up about the games. If you play the Trails games, I know, but like it feels kind of like, at first I was kind of like, this ain't gonna be like a Divine Knight and Awakener situation, isn't it? Divine Knights being like these mechs that have a very special connection with very specific people who can pilot them, known as Awakeners. I was wondering if like that's Arthur's situation. So, like I said, a lot of speculation on my part. We'll have to wait to see where the next episode takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.